want to make you aware that we are going to be recording this Zoom event, posting it on the YouTube page for Romanucci and Blandon shortly after this event. Scott, please go ahead and record when you're able.
Recording in progress.
Thank you. My name is Jennifer McGuffin. I'm the Chief Communications Officer at the law firm of Romanucci and Blandon. You will first hear from Civil Rights Attorney Ben Crump, followed by Civil Rights Attorney Antonio Romanucci. I also want to acknowledge our local counsel, Kevin O'Connor, is joining us. You will hear from James Wilburn, who is Sonya Massey's father. There are other family members who may choose to speak. We'll see how they feel in a few minutes. And then we are happy to have you hear from Illinois State Rep Justin Slaughter, who is the sponsor of House Bill 3837. And unfortunately, we were not able to be joined this morning by State Senator Doris Turner, who is the sponsor of Senate Bill 1953. With that, I will turn it over to Ben Crump.
Thank you so very much, Ms. McGuffin. Good morning, all. Again, I'm Attorney Ben Crump, along with Attorney Tony Romanucci, Attorney Natalie Jackson, Attorney Kevin O'Connell, Attorney Deanna Brown, and our legal team. We have the honor and privilege of representing the family and loved ones of Sonya Massey. We have on this Zoom interview, we wanted to do it in person, but because of the inclement weather, we were all forced to appear virtually. But we certainly want you to know that does not take away the importance of this moment on this day in Black History Month. We have her father, James Wilburn, as well as we believe her mother, Donna Massey, and her uncle, Raymond Massey, is also going to be on the Zoom today. I start this press conference off with a heavy heart, remember the life of Sonya Massey on what would have been her 37th birthday. It is bittersweet that we announced this civil settlement between the estate of Sonya Massey and Sangamon County for $10 million. It is bittersweet because even though this is our first step in getting full justice for Sonya Massey, because as Mr. Wilburn, Ms. Massey, and their entire family has said from the beginning, Attorney Romanucci and us were down in Springfield declaring that we want full justice, not partial justice. We want civil accountability, criminal culpability, and we want legislative changes. We want the laws to prevent something like this from happening again. So it is very bittersweet that on what would have been her 37th birthday, we announced this historic settlement, which is only the first step in the journey for justice for Sonya Massey. It is not lost on any of us the horrific video that saw this officer who was called for a 911 call for a mental health crisis. There was no criminal actions. And I failed to understand, as with Sonya Massey, Pamela Turner, so many other Black people in America who are having a mental health crisis and all they need is a helping hand while they end up getting bullets and being taken from this earth far too soon. So we pray for her family as they continue this journey. We pray for this county and the state as we continue this journey. We pray for America as we continue this journey, now more than ever, to deal with these constitutional failures. And that's why it's not only important that we're announcing the settlement, but we're also announcing these legislative initiatives. And my co-counsel, who is a fearless civil rights lawyer in Illinois and around America, is going to talk about those legislative changes. And another great Illinois lawyer, Kevin O'Connor, will follow him. But it's important, as Attorney Ramanucci and I fought with George Floyd, to get legislative changes, as we fought with Breonna Taylor, to get legislative changes. I mean, it's not enough just to get a measure of accountability for Sonya Massey. As her father said, this is about trying to make sure that nobody else loses a loved one like he lost his daughter, like Miss Donna lost her daughter. So this is what this is about. And so, again, it is very bittersweet that we announced this settlement on Sonya Massey's birthday. And we're thankful to all of the community leaders and activists and supporters, especially Teresa Haley, for being there every step of the way with the family. And so many countless others who I cannot dare name, but people all over across America who saw that video when she said, "I rebuke you in the name of Jesus," before this deputy shot her in her face, killing her. And we vow that until we get justice, we rebuke this racist criminal justice system. And with that, we continue to fight to make the system, the American Constitution, equitable to all American citizens, especially during Black History Month. We highlight it. And so I turn it over to my brother, Attorney Ramanucci, who is much more educated on the legislative issues that are in the state of Illinois and what we can do to make Illinois a leader in these areas. Mr. Ramanucci.
Ben, thank you so much, and to everybody who's on this call today for obviously what is a very monumental, important, and historic settlement. And I am going to have a little bit of a discussion, not only about the bills that we're introducing, but also about the settlement. As Ben said, we announced the approval of this settlement today. The family would give anything to have Sonya with them today, celebrating her birthday. And now all they can hope for is accountability and change. When we were brought onto this case and Ben asked me to join the team, there was nothing that we wanted to do more than to achieve a monetary result for the family, but parallel with that, to make sure that we had institutional change so that not only Sangamon County would see the difference, but the entire state of Illinois. And as Ben and I have been doing across the country, we go from state to state to ensure that there are changes made so these senseless, needless shootings do not happen. So we need changes to how law enforcement officers are screened, how they're hired, and how much information must be shared between departments so that these wandering, untrained, undisciplined, and unprofessional officers do not move from town to town and have any concerns about their conduct when they get hired by a department, which is what we're saying happened exactly in Sangamon County. Sean Grayson never should have been hired had he not been hired because of his background, which was a red flag. This shooting never would have happened. What did happen is that when Sonya called 911, she didn't know it, but that was her death sentence. She called in her own death when she called for help on the night that Sean Grayson came to her home. So that's why we announced the approval of the $10 million settlement of the civil proceedings against Sangamon County Sheriff's Office for the July 6, 24 shooting death of Sonya Massey. Many questions have been raised since Sonya's death about the law enforcement hiring process in Sangamon County and Grayson's fitness for the job. And that's why we have been relentless in our quest to look for legislative change. And that's why we are so honored and humbled that two of our Illinois leaders are taking a stance here, and we hope that others follow their lead. Doris Turner and Justin Slaughter, we're so grateful to you for taking this charge, because we know that you will have a difficult job, but it's not going to be so difficult when you're able to convince your fellow legislators that all life is priceless, no matter who you are and what color skin you have. Sonya had reached out to law enforcement for help and instead received brutal, horrific treatment, wholly excessive use of deadly force, excessive force, which turned into deadly force against her. And you have to understand, at all times, she was unarmed. That pot of water that was on the stove was never, ever a threat to Sean Grayson or anyone else in that room. Instead, Sean Grayson was a ticking time bomb, and no one should be surprised that this unfit officer eventually cost someone their life. So our settlement comes as two Illinois bills are introduced to improve police hiring processes. And one of those sponsors is here today, and that's Illinois State Representative Justin Slaughter, as I previously stated. State Senator Doris Turner could not be with us today, but we're grateful for their dedication to this. So both bills call for more robust background checks and the greater sharing of work history and personal history for applicants to law enforcement roles. Right now, there are certain things that are not shared between departments when officers go from department to department, and we want to put a stop to that. We want all information being shared, whether it's administrative complaints, citizen complaints, certain types of misdemeanor offenses, and certainly felony offenses. All of that should be reported. It's absolutely absurd that a hairstylist would not be able to get a license to cut hair with the same background that Sean Grayson was able to get his certificate to police in Sangamon County. So this is all squarely in the public's best interest, that those who are sworn to protect and serve our communities be held to a absolute reasonable police officer standard, because they are the ones who are actually holding a weapon and having a badge on their chest and shoulder saying that they have the right to take life if it's justified. In this case, we know it was never justified. So the Sangamon County Board approved the settlement last night. This settlement was achieved last week through the help of ADR and its mediator, retired Judge Kay Hanlon. We are grateful to all the people who participated in the process, and especially the family. I do want to make clear something, that $10 million certainly is a lot of money, and it is something that will never be able to compensate the family for the taking of the life of Sonya Massey. I have heard that some say that this amount is too low. Well, I'm going to push back really hard on that, because I did some back of the envelope math here, and Sangamon County's annual budget is a little bit over $60 million. The sheriff's budget out of that $60 million is $20 million. That's easy math. 50% of the sheriff's budget is dedicated to a Sonya Massey settlement. And when you consider what the city of Chicago's budget is, $17 billion, and they allocate about $85 million for these types of incidents, that is 200 times less than what this settlement is. In other words, if you take this $10 million and multiply it by 200, that's the same ratio that we were able to achieve in Sangamon County as it were to be if it was in the city of Chicago. So this settlement is magnanimous, and it's very relevant, and it's very significant, because as Ben knows, we're not in Minneapolis, we're not in Memphis, we're not in Louisville, we're in Sangamon County. So we are very deeply proud of having had the honor to represent the Massey family. We are honored to continue to serve them in ensuring that the Massey name lives forever in Illinois when people think of change when it comes to better policing. and also as an administrator for the estate of the Massey family, this settlement is clearly in the best interest of those who are the direct heirs, and those are the children who will remain nameless for purposes of today. And so this will bring them a measure of hopefully lifetime justice, and never having to forget their mother died in vain. So with that, I'd like now to introduce Mr. Wilburn, James Wilburn, who is the father of Sonya Massey.
Before we have Mr. Wilburn, Attorney Ramanucci, Attorney Kevin O'Connor.
Thank you, Ben.
Is a great lawyer in the Illinois bar. If you would share your perspectives before we bring in the family, sir.
Yes, thank you. Proud to be a part of this team. You know, as Mr. Romanucci explained, we can't forget that at the time of her death, she left 2 minor children who forever will lose their mother. And so this is a significant settlement. It is a significant number for Sangamon County, but it's significant that these children can't be forgotten and what they've lost. The second part is we have a mental health crisis. The legislation you're doing is incredible, related to making sure we hire the appropriate people, but it reflects also things that we can't change necessarily immediately, but long term. The mental health crisis in our country, where these issues are being ignored, so people call the police for help, and yet they're not getting help, they're getting killed. And we really need to change our mental health practices within this country, because oftentimes it's the lack of understanding of mental health and that training that's causing these officers to act inappropriately, not only on a racist level, but on the mental health level. And when you combine the two, it's tragic, and this is what ends up happening. The third is, this is a case where it was caught on video. Thank God it was caught on video. How many other cases across the country that I know Mr. Crump, Mr. Romanucci, and I have represented, to where there is no video? People don't turn on the video. And yet the word of the African-American community is dishonored or not believed because it's not caught on video, and these police officers are able to cover it up. We need to remind the public that these words and these outcries of people and the way they're treated are going on a daily basis when it's not caught on video, and they need to have that faith and belief in people, because people are people, and have that trust. And the last thing I will say is the respect aspect. I'm a big promoter of respect, and I talk about nationally creating some kind of respect badge that goes both ways, the community and the officers. I can tell you this is one of the few cases where the ultimate respect by Miss Massey was being provided to the police department, and she was ultimately getting no respect in return. And she was treated with that disrespect, to where these officers have to learn to treat the community, and especially the African-American community, with respect that is not being given. And we need to help change that motive and that mindset that is stuck among the police department. And I appreciate to be a part of this team, and it is a wonderful day for the family. It's also a sad day, but also a wonderful day because of what has been accomplished. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. O'Connor. And Attorney Ramanucci, before you introduce the great statesman in the State House who's leading that effort, I do want to acknowledge Attorney Natalie Jackson and Attorney Thurgood Wynn, even though they won't be speaking, just like Attorney Ramanucci, Attorney O'Connor. They were very valuable members of the legal team who worked tirelessly on behalf of justice for Sonya Massey. It's always a team effort, and it was a great team victory. And with that, Mr. Ramanucci, if you could introduce this great leader.
Thank you very much, Ben. So at this time, I would like to introduce State Representative Justin Slaughter. He has signed on to one of the bills that will institute change in Illinois, and we look forward to working with you, Representative Slaughter. Thank you so much.
Good morning, everyone. Hope that you can hear me. I'm Illinois State Representative Justin Slaughter. Over the last 10 years, I've had the distinct honor of being the chair of the House Criminal Committee, or been at the forefront, I should say, of law enforcement police reform here in Illinois. First and foremost, I just want to say our prayers and thoughts are with the Massey family. Through this tragedy, the world lost a beautiful soul, beautiful person that no amount of money can bring back. I want to lift up the efforts of attorneys Ben Crump and Tony Romanucci to seek and to get justice for Sonya and the Massey family. I also want to lift up the efforts of the community, especially Sangamon County, to ensure that Sonya's death and the work of the Massey Commission is not vain. I want to remind many of you, not all of you, that we've done a lot here in Illinois already. Many of you recall in 2021, we passed the Safety Act. This had several reforms as it relates to best practice training for officers, statewide body cameras, reforms regarding the use of force, and also really establishing for the first time a more robust certification and decertification process that we've worked with in collaboration with the Attorney General's office as well as the Illinois Law Enforcement Training and Standards Board. But we're all aware of what we call the policy two-step. Get these bills across the finish line and get them into law. But what we know is that these are just words on a piece of paper, right? The second step is implementation. How do we bring these words to life? And how do we implement these interventions? And so what we've done is we've introduced House Bill 3837. And let me say that this tragedy should have never happened. We've seen this, and Attorney Crump can speak to this as he does, not just here in Illinois, but across the country. We must do something about this. We have introduced House Bill, and this bill seeks to make substantial changes to how law enforcement applicants are reviewed before they are hired. The aim is to ensure those who are hired meet reasonable standards and qualifications, and that any concerns about their professional conduct at prior law enforcement departments or in their personal lives are brought to the surface. When we did a review back in 2021 of this process, we knew that we were kind of at the bottom here. I think we ranked 49th in terms of our certification and decertification. And yes, the Safety Act provided a framework for a more robust system. What we're doing with House Bill 3837 is now providing some more teeth as we look to implement the objectives of the Safety Act as it relates to a more robust hiring process. We don't want to do this in a vacuum. This is a collaborative effort that the Attorney General's office will be at the forefront of, but also the law enforcement stakeholders and the law enforcement community and the law enforcement coalition. So we want to have your Chiefs Association, your Sheriff's Association, your State's Attorneys Association, the Illinois State Police, all of the law enforcement stakeholders. We put a piece of legislation. I'm looking forward to this. We do this in the honor of Sonya Massey, so others will be senselessly harmed or killed. And ultimately, we can build trust with law enforcement between all the citizens of Illinois and law enforcement. This is about building trust so that we can enhance and improve public safety. Again, our prayers and thoughts are with the Massey family, and now we lift up the efforts of this initiative going forward in her honor. Yeah, we appreciate the efforts of the attorneys, and we look forward to moving forward. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Oh, Ben, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, I was going to say the same thing you were, Attorney Ramucci. Thank you, Representative Slaughter, for your leadership on this issue and remembering the least of these. As my grandmother would say, you have been given this influence to be able to give people a voice, and thank you for giving Sonya Massey and the Sonya Masseys of the world a voice through your leadership. Attorney Ramanucci, Attorney O'Connor, all of you in Illinois, you all have truly been leaders on this. And I pray that your efforts with getting the Sonya Massey law passed will provide greater leadership for America, especially in times as these. Attorney Ramanucci, I don't know if you all want to say anything before I introduce the family on this.
No, the only thing I wanted to add, Representative Slaughter mentioned it. You know, the Safety Act was a very important piece of legislation that was passed and signed into law a couple years ago. And we're seeing some of the effects of it taking place, especially with the no bail. And I think it's critically important that we keep building on it. What we're doing with Sonya Massey is not a replacement for safety. It's not anything that we want change for safety. It's a build on issue. And this is something that we see where there was a crack. And so we're there to fill in the crack, and that's why it's added on. And we want to make that very clear that we are very, very happy with the Safety Act and how it's performing in Illinois. Nothing is ever perfect, but this is about as close as you can get. So thank you.
Yeah. And with that, I just think about all the countless citizens, especially Black and brown citizens who were killed by deputies and law enforcement who left one department and went to another. Tony and Kevin, I'm sure you all have many that you all think of too. Hopefully this won't happen again in this manner. And I know Mr. James Wilburn, Sonya Massey's father, from day one, said that it should be right at the doorstep of the sheriff's department for even letting him be on the force. And I do know the family is adamant that they want a criminal conviction. They want him in jail. So this is only the first step of justice. And I say that because I know that's heavy on the family heart. The civil settlement is very important, but they also want criminal culpability. And so with that, Mr. Wilburn, on behalf of your daughter, we again say it's bittersweet. We know you would rather she be with you all today celebrating her birthday, but you have been steadfast in your pursuit of justice. So if you would give whatever remarks you would like, and then we will have some maybe from Mr. Massey and Ms. Donna, and then we will take questions. But Mr. Wilburn, the floor is yours, sir.
Thank you, Attorney Crump. My heart is heavy today. This is my daughter's birthday. She would have been 37 years old today. And I have to give the state of Illinois its props. The state house and the state senate have introduced the Sonya Massey legislation so that this kind of tragedy can never happen to anyone else again. And I called at my daughter's celebration of life that there should be some changes in how things are prosecuted when they take place like this in the state. And I said that the state of Illinois could be leaders throughout our whole country for seeing that these frequent flyers who go from one department to another, who are given the opportunity to resign rather than be fired because it's an easier process, and they go from one department to another, as this rogue cop did. I have to thank the people of Springfield in the city. They have been so great to us as a family. They have shown us much love in how this whole thing has been done. I can't say the same for Sangamon County because they were responsible for this occurring, and Logan County, and Kincaid, and the other smaller departments that this guy was at, when they should have taken his certification to be a law enforcement officer in Illinois. And again, I say he should have never been hired. So that's why I thank you, State Representative and State Senator, for doing what's necessary to make those changes in the Safety Act so that no one else will have to feel the kind of hurt that we're feeling today. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Mr. Wilburn. And again, we all pray for you and your family. Uncle Ray Massey, I don't know if you would like to speak or say anything, you or Miss Donna. And if not, that's perfectly understandable.
I can see if Donna, is she on?
I don't think she's on, Uncle Ray. Your
Okay.
sister isn't on.
Well, I will make a statement if you don't mind. Well, this tragic murder of Sonya has affected our family in ways that are unimaginable. And we're so grateful to have such a team, you know, the attorneys, as well as the community, as Mr. Wilburn stated, behind us, because we know there's so many families that have no one to help fight. So we truly appreciate everyone that is fighting for our cause, seeking full justice for Sonya. And that's pretty much what I wanted to say. But I wanted everyone, Ben Crump's team, like you said, Teresa Haley has been there from the beginning. So we truly appreciate that. And we know that this is the beginning of the fight, and we're willing to do the work and put the work in until we seek full justice for the murder of Sonya. And I just want to say happy birthday to my beautiful Black Queen. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Uncle Ray. And I see Miss Donna is on. And Miss Donna, if you would like to say something, we welcome you. And if you don't want to say anything, we certainly understand. Okay. So with that, she's been mentioned a lot, Miss Teresa Haley, a great community leader there in Sangamon County. Ms. Haley, before we turn it over to Ms. McGuffin to get questions from the reporters, would you like to say anything?
Yes, sir. I'd like to say thank you for allowing me to be a part of this team, but this is my hometown, and I will continue to fight as long as I have breath in me to make a difference, not only for the Massey family, but for all of us. We will be at the state capitol lobbying for change in whatever the Wilburn, the Massey family needs from us. We're here. And I want to say thank you, Mr. Crump, for always making yourself available to Sangamon County when I call you. So thank you all.
Thank you so much, Ms. Haley. Ms. McGuffin.
Indeed, we are now going to move into the question and answer portion. If you do have a question and you're a member of the press, if you would please put it in the chat. And when we see that, we will call on you so you can speak your question and be available for a follow-up if necessary. We'll give everybody a moment to do that. And while we do, I just wanted to note that you may have noticed we had a bit of a challenge with Representative Slaughter's video connection. His audio came through nicely. So that is quite usable. But what we will do is distribute Representative Slaughter's headshot, should you need that to do a full screen graphic, so that you can take that audio and still use his sound bites in your coverage later today. Now, having said that, I am not yet seeing anything in the chat. We'll give you all one or two more minutes. And while we do that, Representative Slaughter, let's just have you speak one more moment, if you would, about the expected time frame for your bill, and if you have knowledge, Senator Turner's bill.
Well, and am I okay? Can you hear me? See
Right
me?
now, yes, you are. Please proceed.
Okay, all right. Technology is great until it isn't. The expected timeline, we're going to work this through, the normal legislative process. One thing that I think is important is to simply not just present a bill, but to actually, have it reviewed, have a lot of opportunity for input, have a lot of opportunity for collaboration. One thing I wanted to mention was that this isn't a Democrat or Republican thing. When you look at how states address certifying and decertifying their officers, some Democrat states do this well. Some Republican states do this quite well. And so we don't want to get into this being a back and forth, especially in the times that we are in regards to national politics and what's happening out in the White House. We don't want to get into the back and forth or around politics. Sonya Massey and others, their lives are worth more than just politics, right? And so we really want to delve into the details and the particulars. Being a law enforcement officer, a police officer, is extremely critical to our society. If society can get the law enforcement piece right, all of these other genre of policies and initiatives follow that, right? And so this is extremely important. This is extremely important. I'm thinking that we may do a subject matter hearing, maybe a couple, before advancing the bill. With this being so important, my sister over in the Senate chamber, Senator Turner, and I will be in lockstep with each other, working collaboratively across both chambers, right? And so we will be in partnership as the bill matriculates through the legislative process. And again, wanting to be inclusive of thought, whether that is conservative, whether that's progressive, whether that's Democrat, whether that's Republican, whether that's ideas and thoughts from the community, or whether that's more so your expertise lens as it lends itself through the law enforcement coalition of stakeholders. And so, we expect to be aggressively working on this, and the timetable will follow. It's the normal timeline. We'll probably see a bill in maybe April, but I don't know for sure. But we'll use these next couple months to definitely, collaborate and get a very robust spirit around how we're developing and moving this piece of legislation.
Thank you, Representative Slaughter. I'm going to help manage a couple of these questions here. Before I do that, I also want to acknowledge another activist by the name of Anjanette Young, who is joining us today. Media, I'm certain you are familiar with Anjanette's experience with a Chicago police wrong raid and her continued activism on issues related to that as well. So just wanted to acknowledge Anjanette's presence. We are getting many questions that are duplicates or similar versions of each other. One, I'm going to give you a couple numbers. The question is, what are the exact numbers of the legislation? Representative Slaughter's is House Bill 3837. On the Senate side, Senator Turner's bill is supposed to be brought to the floor today, I'm told, and that is Senate Bill 1953. I also have several other related bills, and I'm going to defer you to Senator Turner's office for details, but I want you to have the numbers. Those numbers are Senate Bill 1921, Senate Bill 1954, and Senate Bill 2199, all in the category of police reform. So please refer to Senator Turner's office for that. I would like to have Carly from WAND. If you could please unmute, and we'll let you address the attorneys with your question on next steps for the criminal case against Sean Grayson.
Hi, yeah, Carly Bronkema, WAND News here. Just wondering what next steps and kind of timeline look like for the criminal proceedings against Sean Grayson.
The only thing I will say is John Millhouse, the state attorney of Sangamon County, has been keeping the family updated. They successfully argued that he should not be released on bail, and the family is extremely grateful for that there. But at this time, I am not aware of any trial date that has been set. Attorney Romanucci, I don't know if you know any trial date, Kevin O'Connell.
No, we are not aware of any trial date, and obviously when the trial does happen, we will be there in support, ensuring that all avenues of justice are accounted for here, right? We've got the civil, the legislative, the administrative has been complete, and we want to make sure that the fourth prong is also complete, and that's the criminal.
A lot of what the public doesn't know is the civil attorneys can't bring a criminal prosecution. It has to be brought by either a state's attorney, a district attorney, and they control that aspect on behalf of the people of the state of Illinois or the people of the county. They bring that action. The family is always informed or kept abreast of it, but that is driven by the organization that is designed to carry the criminal case. So,
yeah, the only thing I would add is the community is vigilant along with the family. Oftentimes in the Black community, we see where they say, well, if you get civil justice, you can't get criminal justice. And we rebuke that in the name of Jesus, because we believe, just like any American citizen, we should have the right to the 7th Amendment constitutional protections, as Attorney Romanucci so articulately expressed, but also we should have the right to criminal culpability. The same justice we would expect if it was a white woman who suffered this tragic end, we want it for this beautiful Black woman. It should be no difference. It should be equal justice under the law. So we expect them to zealously prosecute this case. Could you imagine if he did this to a white woman, what the screams for justice would be? So we expect that for Sonya Massey to be just as loud. And we also expect